the Summer Showdown night here in Toronto at the Mattamy Athletics Center. The double L's, that's Lemon Kiwi, that's Leg Day. We're gonna be bringing you the next match. It's gonna be a good one. The Vancouver Titans and the Florida Mayhem in the lower bracket. Their last life on the line.
Oh yeah, there are no more third chances. They're already on their second one, so whoever loses is unfortunately going home, and whoever wins gets to move forward with the unenviable task of facing the London Spitfire. And both of our teams had their maladies yesterday, but one that's already been sorted out is the absence of Sir Marjet, who's flown in overnight. We've express delivered Sir Marjet over to Florida Mayhem, and now he's ready to play on land and keep the team's spirits high and together like every main support should.
I didn't actually check if he was here. We're gonna see on the walkout if he's arrived, because I know airports be silly these days. Both teams, I mean, struggled already this tournament. Whether it was Florida yesterday, we got to cast that 3-0.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they're excited that we're casting and delivering more bad luck to them. But it was a tough 3-0 against the Houston Outlaws, who are looking like a top 3 team though this tournament. And then the Vancouver Titans, I mean, they had to go up against the Shock, so what do you do?
Yeah, and Vancouver Titans, they took a map off of Shock as well, which I think surprised a lot of us. We all rated the Shock very highly coming into this. I think that Shock and Dallas Fuel were definitely the favourites, and they are going to be meeting, of course, in the winners' finals. But that's enough of the analysis of what's happened, because I want to bring the chaos. I want to bring the carnage. I want to bring forth in front of all of your eyes for Florida Mayhem.
And no longer Overwatch 4v4. We have our 5th member here to go. Welcome everyone who's made it to Toronto. And look at them, someone waving away. Yep, the tall one is the one who got here today. I'm so excited for Florida, who the nerves were settling in yesterday, but they are looking much more confident. Speaking to McGravy yesterday about the things that they had to fix today, just small little mistakes, mostly nerves, but today they feel so confident about beating the Vancouver Titans, especially on this meta.
Cool, calm, and collected, yes, Lemon. It's been a night of iteration for Florida Mayhem, and having Sir Marjet here in person brings so much more as well, because it means that you can really center the emotions of your team around your kind of emotional anchors that every team is to have. In history, there's been players like Jake, players like Punk, people who you look to really lead the team, and Florida Mayhem needs one of their players to step up, and when things start to go wrong, if they do, rally around that player to make sure the tilt doesn't set in and that you can always reset, go back to a plan that McGravy and Gumba have laid out.
Well, going up against them, the ones that could send them out of this tournament, it's the Canadians from the West. Give it up for the Vancouver Titans.
This is a team, Lemon, that defied expectations yesterday and played so well against the San Francisco Shock, a team that went absolutely lossless in the regular season for so long until they met their end at the hands of the Dallas Fuel. And let's not all forget, August 14th, baby, the national holiday in Overwatch, the Vancouver Titans Day. It had been a disappointing season for the team thus far, but DPay has come in. Mr. David Pay, the God Emperor, previously of the LA Gladiators, now of the Vancouver Titans. He's turned it all around, and these players are looking renewed, refreshed, and reinvigorated here in the lower bracket.
And DPay was optimistic about this team. No matter the loss against the Shock, he pointed it out. They took a map. But for DPay to come in with only 3 months of the team, mid-season, to turn this entire roster around has looked good. But the level of trust he has in these rookies, I was talking about King. This is a guy I used to cast back in, 2017 when I first started. And he has grown up to be such a tremendous Genji player. And along with Mirror, Junker Queen mastermind, DPay is so confident in him and his Junker Queen skills because it fits his aggressive playstyle.
Yeah, the acquisitions that DPay has made for this team have all slot in perfectly. Of course, remember that Mirror actually used to be a DPS player on the Gladiators under DPay. So evidently DPay is a big investor in Mirror and believes that, hey, Junker Queen's it's a character, a tank that we've seen multiple DPS players pick up fairly well, including Dia over on the LA Valiant, and of course Dante, who you all just saw on the Junker Queen on the Houston Outlaws. But here we are, there's our 10 box. Everybody's got their bums in their seats. And we're almost ready to head into our first map here in our lower bracket.
DPay had one message for the Florida Mayhem, and it was nice, it was simple, bye-bye is all DPay had to say to the Florida Mayhem. But Florida are hoping to turn that 0-3 around to a 3-0 in their favor. And I've always been hyped up on Checkmate. I've even talked to the team, and they've confirmed that Genji is either his best or his second best hero. This is the meta that fits him, along with, even flex supports like Sir Majed. And being able to play that double flex support has forced teams to kind of adapt to Florida rather than the other way around. Even yesterday, we saw Lastra have to swap to the Ana against Florida.
Yeah, for Checkmate, these Genjis, it's no Reinhardt, it's no Checkmate Rein, but for Checkmate, Genji is still super impressive. And we look at King as well, and King's sort of fitting into a unique role in Genji in this particular meta, in that it's Aspire who's for superstar DPS on Vancouver, so we're seeing King play more of a supporting role, being able to soften up those targets and move in conjunction with the rail to try and make sure those finishing blows are collected for Vancouver Titans more as a team rather than as a singular player popping off. Here's a look at our map set, Jen. We're starting off on Lijiang Tower, of course, and well, while in previous metas I talk about how Control Center's more suitable towards Rein, etc., we all know what we're going to be seeing here.
Well, this is Florida's choice, and I think they're going to their strength, something comfortable to them, and something they recently played. This was last time against the Boston Uprising, one of their most recent matches, where yes, they unfortunately lost in a Game 5, but that map differential actually is what helped Florida even be here in the first place. But specifically, it was map number 1, Lijiang Tower, that they won against the Boston Uprising. That's the only time they played it, so I'm excited to see how Florida will set the pace in this series.
Of course, we're not expecting to see any of the double flex support shenanigans from Florida Mayhem on Control. The game mode is simply too fast and speed is too important. And when it comes to that speed, Lemon, right now we're running in a double speed boost meta. Of course, we have the Amp It Up from Relucio. It's been classic across years and years, half a decade of Overwatch esports, with the Junker Queen with a commanding shout giving that team-wide speed boost as well. That's the cooldown we really have to look out for in this matchup. And if someone can hit a better timing, like a secondary, a second shout compared to Mira, that's going to give Florida Mayhem a lot of vigor to move forward. Note here that Hydron's actually a little bit split off after having done the Symmetra TP, but Florida Mayhem, they're playing more reserve to make sure Hydron's covered on his approach.
Oh, Checkmate's already dashing in. He's got the shout from Florida, and they start the engage on their terms. As now that their cooldowns are out, they take shelter in the left corridor. Vancouver said, see you later, buddy. We're going to the point. Even with a Canadian accent and everything, but we'll see how this will, are they going to get the capture from this?
The unlock coming out. Mira's already been pulled in by the knife. That's going to be an exchange over Disruptor shot, and someone could barely even disengage with only a little bit of health remaining.
Yeah, Aspire just needs to create some distance and not be accessible to someone like Checkmate, but Checkmate is low itself. So is someone. Vancouver just have to finish off these kills, and King is doing his darn best. But as Vancouver Titans leave the shelter of the point, they're getting cut down one by one. King is looking for the equalizer, and a pick on the RuPaul could assure of that. Vancouver have the point, and as long as this fight still goes on, they can extend the lead, but unfortunately they don't have the manpower to keep protecting it.
Or someone hitting an early knife there on Tabir actually created a long deficit of healing for Vancouver Titans that eventually was overwhelmed by a nicely placed headshot, I believe, from Hydron, with the rail getting the burst that was needed to get rid of those meteor targets. Vancouver are already on the point here, but look at this. Hydron's under massive pressure. No way! The assassin assassinated.
What an opening pick, and now how do the dice fall after this? Aspire has used the jump. Hydron is trying to lock him down, but he also wants to cancel the rally from Aztec, but that's been unperturbed. What a shot from Aspire. It's 4 versus 4. Not a lot of healing, though, from Vancouver without Aztec, but it's about the permanent damage. Mira's still close to Rampage, but I don't think you commit to this. You don't have enough health, and you don't have the support. Checkmate will light this fight on fire, and Florida hold on.
And King is such a difficult person to lose early, Lem, because it means when someone from Florida Mayhem gets low, you don't have that guaranteed 50 damage you get from the super accuracy of the dash, and it means that your ability to follow up and as well the brawl damage that you get from those right clicks onto targets like the Junker Queen and the Brigitte is entirely missing. Now Florida Mayhem, are they going to swap up their tempo here and have an earlier fight that's not as centralized on the point?
It's a pretty big difference in kills too. Vancouver at 8 deaths, Florida only have 3. See how this upcoming ult fight will make a difference. Florida defending it, and they're actually saying they're playing hide and go seek so they don't take any accidental poke. And now Florida show their faces as Vancouver Titans enter the point. As a rampage from Mirror, it hits at least 3 of Florida, but the Soundbeer from Sir Majed buys them time. It's a 3K from Checkmate in the Blade to save this for Florida.
Lemon, Mira and King both using their ults there. Memphis so much. It got so much efficiency out of that sound barrier. Both of the big plays from Vancouver were countered there. Now with 9% left to go, it's only Aspire with an overclock, and that's an early rampage.
He pulled the trigger and he fires into Vancouver, who can't even go back to spawn because they're dead. And that type of initiative is what got Florida Mayhem the first round win on Lijiang Tower.
It's not just the initiative, Lemon, but also the conditioning that meant that initiative was not expected. It was fight after fight on the point, allowing that space over to the Vancouver Titans. They did not expect Florida Mayhem to make such an early engagement out of the safety. And also, you pointed out in that penultimate fight how everyone was playing around the outside of the point, which was super important because it's environmental deaths everywhere there. That means that if you rampage towards them, you have a big chance of being booped off the map when you do so.
That was good ult tracking for Florida, and also Surmajed dropped the barrier when Mira had the rampage. So this is the 3K from Checkmate, going immediately having access to the supports, dash reset, the prioritization for going after Masa to Aztac.
I think they took out Masa during his beat cast as well.
Yeah, that was a good point too. Wow.
That was just the best possible fight there for Florida Mayhem. And that's an amazing start considering that their tournament run so far here in Toronto has not been amazing, but up against some native Canadians, it's all looking good.
Farah, huh?
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore.
That's enough of that, thank you.
Just getting a little too close, and that's why it's so important to have that Mercy for the consistent healing. If someone just gets overwhelmed, the damage just too much from the side of Vancouver Titans, as they'll have the point first.
And now for the first time, we're going to be seeing Vancouver Titans playing from a place of strength, where they can really control when and where the engagements happen. I imagine Florida Mayhem are going to try and want to move through White Room here, which you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen at the moment, just rolling in towards this area, because going across the bridge is far too dangerous against the number of boops that this composition has.
You have better shelter options also coming from White Room, and it's also difficult to attack with the Pharah, so needing that first pick potential. Hydron going back to what he's best at along with Checkmate, so here's the point now for Florida actually trying to take back the point, as Vancouver keeping some kind of presence to not allow the flip. No ultimates yet. Surmajed is actually quite far ahead on the sound barrier, so that could be a tempo engage that Florida can work towards, but you don't even need it with Checkmate. It's applying that much pressure to your front line. Florida approached this from front to back and bulldozed the Vancouver Titans from the point.
And now, once again, Florida Mayhem, they can try and control these engagements. Characteristically thus far, Florida Mayhem, on their defense, have been a much more passive team. They allow Vancouver Titans to take this space so that they can look for people overextending and then punish them via either Hydron's accuracy or Checkmate going in with the right clicks like we saw onto Mira in the fight previous. Ooh. However, for the moment, Vancouver Titans tight in their formation and no one overextending.
Yeah, I think Aspire can keep this position because he's close to overclock, but if Florida keep hiding, then he needs to get some kind of sideline. He puts himself in access to Checkmate, who's close to Blade. Disruptor shot slows down Florida's disengage as Vancouver Titans look to flip the point, but Florida don't want to make it happen. They have to use the sound barrier and try to engage into them, but they have to layer this with RuPaul, but it wasn't enough to save someone. There's no take for Florida, and Aspire is lighting things up. 2 kills, looking for more, but Florida dead in the water as they just hope to extend the lead that they have as Vancouver Titans hope to take control.
And Master critically now has an advantage on the sound barrier. Surmajed, he can't dance for long, even with those happy feet and happy skates in the building. We saw Surmajed actually invest for sound barrier to try and deal with Aspire's overclock, knowing how low someone had gone because he was just taking a little bit too much poke, wasn't using the physical cover as much as he otherwise could. And now Vancouver Titans, maybe they'll be able to have an early or at least a more effective sound barrier because they're going up against so many win conditions from Florida Mayhem, which can be countered by that ultimate. Masa needs to be a little bit more patient with this and try not to use it on just for Rampage.
Oh, someone and Mirror Rampage back and forth, but it's the blade from King that we're watching as Masa holds on to the barrier, thinks King is healthy enough and supported enough. 5 versus 4 for Vancouver. Checkmate thinks it's time for the blade. He wants to turn around this fight as Florida were down at the start. He's able to get a few trades without that main tank. Looks like Vancouver might fall, and so they do as Florida race back to flip.
I talked about how Masa needs to be patient, and admittedly, there was a good answer there from Vancouver Titans, using both the Blade and their own Rampage to answer someone's Rampage rather than investing the beat. But Masa, unfortunately, allowed someone to die before that sound barrier came out, and that was critical, because it meant only 3 members of Vancouver Titans could sit around and try and clean up that match. And now, Florida Mayhem, they aren't going to be defending with any ultimates here, so Aztac can try and bully them out with a tempo rally.
Yeah, that rally is close. It all depends. I think you want to maintain Mirror as much as possible. He's been taking a lot of pressure. Here's a rally from Aztec. Shout from Mirror. Florida start their disengage. They're not looking so healthy, and not so much now that RuPaul and Hydron fall. Vancouver clutching up at the last second will get the point right back. It's been flip after flip, and at 85% plus, Vancouver are one fight away from sending us to round 3.
And that one fight for Florida Mayhem, it's going to involve a Tracer as Hydron moves on over here away from the Sojin. There won't be a disruptor shot, and that means Mirror can do so much more for free. He can overextend and not worry about being slowed down on that disengagement. Aspire with the overclock.
Oh, Hydron,
no way.
I was about to say something real cool. Hydron was known for his Tracer, but not anymore because this is Aztec's field. And it's the Vancouver Titans homeland. 99% in overtime. Checkmate can't make the miracle happen. Vancouver turn it around, and we're going to round 3.
The North remembers and the Spire remembers that he's in his own country now. The Vancouver Titans bringing it out in front of their home crowd, 1-1 on Lijiang Tower. I was hoping this was going to be a banger, Lemon, and I've got a feeling that it is going to be. Obviously, there's going to be no major compositional changes coming in here towards Control Center, but what you are going to want to look out for is how our teams position in the pre-fight to secure to try and take the pseudo high ground of the server room versus the better availability of physical cover that's on the point, including those curved computer screens. Those can be so good for allowing your Brigitte to peek out, throw out an armor pack, and then go back into relative safety, where it becomes much more dangerous for a Genji to dash in on them because you can't get the long-range support you want from your Sojourn.
There's an interesting DPS matchup. Aspire is out-damaging Hydron by about 2.6k, but Checkmate is out-damaging King by about 2k. So it's a really back and forth. I mean, Aztec already falls over. How does Florida already have access to your backline like this? Checkmate is really putting on a deadlift for Florida.
And that's all about speed, tempo, and ferocity. Aztec might even have used the shield bash on the rollout there and not able to use it to move away. Either way, Aztec's kiting ability there was not good enough to save him from a clutch of Checkmate, who walks away with a huge ult premium compared to King. Admittedly, for Vancouver Titans, that wasn't a very long fight for them at all. And now Florida Mayhem, they're not going to play up against the chokes here. They don't want to risk getting flanked upon by King, and instead they're going to move towards these same areas where previously Aztec was caught out.
Yeah, and I mean, just Aztec dying early also means just double the ult charge for RuPaul, just that survivability important. And the rally tempo engage in the cards in the next fight. What a shot from Hydron! And the way he creates the distance away from everyone else, he's just been untouched by King. And now that Florida with a 5v4, they're looking to clay 4, but Vancouver run for the hills.
Aspire versus Hydron in terms of a history as well is a super cool matchup here, Lemon. These two were both the hit-scan DPS of American Tornado at different points in their careers, and that kind of became a real dynasty of North American contenders players. We saw Kaluj and Reiner also came from that roster, and at the moment, Hydron seems to be drawing pretty even with Aspire, and I think that Hydron's been a little bit less rated. Checkmate coming in now, ready with the blade, but Master, if he can get just a few more little squeaks of healing out, we'll be able to counter it.
Checkmate's been playing so aggro, and King is trying to keep him in check, put him in the corner where he belongs. The RuPaul rally first. Checkmate doesn't even need it. He cuts Mirror by the ankles, chases down Masa, but the barrier has already been delivered. But death received to the Vancouver Titans as Florida take back-to-back fights.
The barrier was not only too late, Lemon, it was mispositioned as well. Only 2 members of Vancouver Titans could get it. Knew that there would be a third if he wasn't dead before it struck the ground, and now Masa has nothing to try and counter someone with this Rampage. If they play aggressively here from Florida Mayhem and catch Vancouver Titans in a choke where they can get a 5-man anti from that Rampage, it could be curtains for the home team.
Hydron is putting on a performance, 26-5. What can he not do? Someone has to make sure he keeps control of server. He has the Rampage, but how much and how deep does he want to go? It's the King Blade, and the Rampage pierces the backline of the Vancouver Titans. Aztec tries to rally the team together, give them the heals. A King disengages with the rest of his team, and Hydron pummels the front line with additional DPS ults from Florida, who are just one fight away from taking the round. But as Florida disengaged, they actually gave up the objective to Vancouver, who don't have the people to keep this going.
Yes, the point may have been flipped, but unfortunately it's the inevitable that's being delayed here, Lemon. Once more, the point will exchange hands, overtime back in session. Mirror can move on forward with the Rampage and try and start off a fresh fight.
Oh, this has to be everything. Mirror and Aspire have to get the kills, but Aspire cut down from his overclock, and Mirror's Rampage doing nothing. Florida, though, not looking so healthy. Someone in checkmate need to be finished off. Vancouver chasing down the kills. The focus fire, not enough to take down Hydron. And without Aztac, as he was following the charge, falls, and Vancouver fall. Florida take map 1.
That was such an intelligent Rampage there from someone, splitting the Vancouver Titans. And actually, Vancouver Titans, when it came to that disengagement, they were a little bit more messy. We saw Mirror back off towards the Mega, but the rally of Aztac was over on the point, trying to get that flip. Florida Mayhem identified that they could give over the objective, and in the end, it would not matter because they could pick off these individual targets like a pack of hunting wolves.
Hydron and checkmate look disgusting. The first map win for Florida at this tournament. A total of 65 elims between those two DPS from Florida alone. They have turned up in the biggest of ways. So excited. We're going to throw you guys to a break, and when we get back, Vancouver Titans have the choice of map.
Florida Mayhem are showing us a multitude of different looks, and someone is helming all of them. This guy can do anything.
What? Someone already worried? Excuse me, that's not allowed. Is he in a luge? What is this? Cool runnings? Sorry, someone just slurped up proper on the way through. There's like someone just bolted a bloody hyper-powered Dyson to the front of him as he charges through the middle of the map. I mean, someone has to yeet the spaghetti. Someone was just able to follow up, clean him up indeed. Someone going to flat Furio here, and Dallas Fuel get absolutely Goomba stomped in this first fight. Someone trying to clear a few mines. He's very, very low, but he catches Violet still somehow.
When it comes to rookies, I think someone is someone that we're really going to have to start heavily considering as one of the best.
Someone is so funny, and he's truly making a name for himself, not only in the league but for his team, really turning around his performance from yesterday. And you see him on the cams, he's always talking. He brings that energy and that leadership, and I think no matter how much they're losing or winning, someone is consistent, someone you can depend on.
He's yapping away, Lemon. Communication is the key to any main tank success, but also let's not forget that someone highly underrated player, somewhat unknown coming into this year, and Florida Mayhem as an organization in 2022, I think they have been a success story for the power of scouting that their backroom has. Players that other teams probably weren't considering as much, grabbing Sir Majid, grabbing RuPaul, players from North American and European contenders. We don't see too many pickups from European contenders these days. Gumber and McGravy, they were doing an excellent job of finding this talent and managing to integrate it into a fairly successful roster, because we can't forget that Florida Mayhem, as low ranked as they were, they're like, what, 7-7, 8-8 or something in the regular season? They are pulling up that 0.50, which is well above where a lot of people thought they were going to lie.
Our next map has been chosen. Vancouver Titans had the choice. They send us to Paraizu. I had it right on the break. They're actually undefeated on this map in this stage. They full held Toronto Defiant. I'm sorry, guys. And Paris Eternal, they won this against in the qualifiers. So this is, again, Vancouver playing to their strengths.
Welcome to the beautiful sunny streets of Paraizu. Florida Mayhem, they have a lovely tropical color. All fitting so nicely here.
It's like Florida-esque.
On the beaches of Rio.
Not enough crocodiles.
This is an area, though, where I expect to potentially see ourselves some Ashe. Ashe defending point A is particularly oppressive. I'm not sure if Florida Mayhem are going to be able to bring out the double flex support here to defend. They could actually play a little bit further back instead of playing the first bridge. We could see Florida Mayhem defend on the sort of like surround high ground, but Florida Mayhem, I don't think if they see much need to actually move away from a classic composition at the moment. There's always the feeling that, hey, if we can beat them at what's meta, and what to a degree might have been our weaker competition, well, why would we move away from this? Why would we start to show our hand in the first round of losers?
Yeah, that's actually a good point of just Florida brought out the double flex support. Instead of just forcing their players to play like heroes they're weaker at, they just said, well, stick to what you're good at. And which is kind of what I suggest all my teammates in rank to do. But when I spoke to McGravy, they felt good about playing the double main support to the double flex support, but I think that choice depends entirely on the map. On a close range map like Paraizu, you don't have the space to go for poke. Aspire, he goes for a little Widow headshot and gets a little bit of ult charge, but there's that Ashe you were talking about.
Okay, so the Ashe here, it's very good at attacking the bridge in particular because you don't need a direct line of sight in order to detonate the dynamite and do some significant damage to bring people low. You can already see the Hydra's actually been brought low by the dynamite, forced to move away, and that's a little bit less pressure to Vancouver Titans. They can move forward without being harassed by Hydra.
And now Florida supposedly defending this, although the attackers have gone past them as they were trying to access the back line. Aztec almost got knifed as Mir is there for the peel. Someone grabs the health pack and tries to trade blows with the tanks. as well. Not a lot of healing is left for the defense now that RuPaul is gone, and you can see the evidence of this with everyone from Florida being in critical health. But it's Checkmate that slices through, gets the dash recess on Vancouver, and might have salvaged this fight. There's only 2 people left from the defense and no one from the attackers.
It was actually quite a messy fight from both teams. We saw a lot of players going low, but not really the target focus to finish from all off in quick succession and get those dash resets, which are so important. Florida Mayhem now, though, about to cede away some of the best defensive ground, and there's a new battleground that now needs to be fought for as Vancouver Titans have moved forward and taken out Checkmate.
Finally, Vancouver landing some good poke, and that's a good dynamite, and Aspire turns and burns on Hydron as they clear the houses from the remnants of the defenders, and Vancouver kind of smooth sailing to the point.
The way that Aspire weaves in the hipfire of the Ashe to maximize DPS and really hit those breakpoints to get the killing blows is one of the best factors of Aspire as a DPS. When it comes to his Ashe, he uses the ammo so intelligently, and that's something that you really need to do, because for Viper's reload animation, it takes so long that your downtime can become quite sustained and create real openings of weakness from your team, where you can't really focus down the enemy as much. But the Ashe here up against Checkmate, you're going to try and hit plenty of body shots to make sure that you can't take these riskier peaks and get those shurikens out.
Positioning of the hit scans is so important. Remember, Sojourns have better mobility with the shift jump, while as Aspire on the Ashe just has a coach gun, and it doesn't really matter what your mobility is like if you just hit them shots. So Florida, as soon as they have one, they go to look for more. Vancouver Titans spawns are right close by as Florida hopes to just maintain the choke. Checkmate very close to the blade. Masa barrier coming up.
Already, though, the usage of that deflect. Oh, it doesn't matter. Checkmate taken down by Aspire. He stuck around for too long. And what are you doing back here, someone?
Just the rest of Florida wanted that choke just so Checkmate could be as close as he could to the supports who had to round that corner to heal the rest of Vancouver. So with that pick, Florida have a good disengage and only lose 1 person.
However, the thing is, Vancouver Titans didn't need to use any ultimates to break through that close hold, and that means almost 5 are going to be available for this final fight on point B of Valizu. Florida Mayhem, the same situation. I hope you limit up Lemon, because this could be a 10-ult fight coming up.
It's gonna be a big one. Florida with the rally first. Vancouver meters away. It's the blade from King, the bot from Aspire. Florida getting pounded, but the barrier buys them a cushion they can rely on. RuPaul is separated from the flock. Hydron has to convert and protect him, but someone falls, and there's not that frontline barricade that Florida can really depend on. It's all about picks, and well, King is looking to deny that from Hydron, but Vancouver have just captured point B, so it doesn't matter.
And King even gets the knockoff credit from a melee on Hydron as he resets. Master didn't even need to use the sound barrier. This is excellent news for the Vancouver Titans. Samajit and RuPaul, they actually layered over their support ultimates. Lads, that's unacceptable. And you didn't use either one to save Checkmate. He died before the fight, so there's no way to start using those dash resets to start moving together kills and really taking advantage of a Brawl DPS that someone in Checkmate bring in tandem.
You're gonna have to drop them lads. When you're in Canada, you say buds. Okay, so Mira has the rampage, and he wants to draw Florida to the low ground to just have the red carpet of death, and he delivers it. 4 hits. Hydron at critical health. Vancouver need to focus down these targets. They're for free, and just getting Majette, there's no speed for Florida to disengage as Vancouver hunt down the rest.
Oh, I heard a sound that I got confused, but it's okay. I thought
You scared me.
That's fine. Master's still hanging onto this sound barrier as well, and I love how Mira hits, or rather he gets Samajit low and just sleeps, and he knows that Samajit's going to bleed to death and he's antied. There's no way that he's going to get healed out of that. It's time to swap the targets. This is such a fast attack here from a Vancouver Titans, so they could try and bully through here with a barrier.
And this is such a big time bank, and Checkmate needs to deny it right here, right now. Goes after Masa. Aztac, shield bashes away, has to duel against him. There's no peel from Vancouver to save him, but that's because they're supporting Checkmate on the counter dive, who converts it on 2 kills. Vancouver might not get to continue this momentum. It's 2 versus 4 favoring the defense, but how far can Vancouver get?
Great ball. Will he be forced to use the rally here is the important question. I'm wondering, is Master's Q key broken? Right now, check him keyboard, please, because why didn't he try and beat the blade that came out there? I know that admittedly Master's pathing meant that a late beat would not have been very helpful at all. He would have only hit himself, but Aztec seemed to have got the boop that was ideal to give enough casting time that Master wouldn't die during the cast. Still, Marsa now can at least try and bully out Florida Mayhem by using a tempo beat on an engagement, but has to worry about the greater longevity RuPaul brings with a rally.
And you see that Aspire is putting dynamites on the high ground to drop Florida down. Here's the rally from RuPaul as they engage into Florida. Vancouver support themselves with a barrier and a bomb and fight back even harder. It's the King Blade. He's been quiet, but he wants to be loud for the time that Vancouver needs him the most. Well, Superjet's up in there, sorry, Checkmate's up in the sky, but Vancouver Titans just took the fight and are meters away. Respawns are close though. Hydron might get to touch it, but he wants the space to overclock, but he has to clutch this up. The overclock is canceled, and Florida can't support this any longer. It's a 2-minute time bank for Vancouver.
King wants it to be loud, and Toronto is as well. The Canadian team seemingly picking exactly the right map for exactly the right scenario. The King demands that Florida bend the knee, and so they do. 1 minute and 54 on the clock. So now, Florida Mayhem, the question is, how do you try and match this of a DPay diff?
It's a DPS diff as well. Aspire is 16-3, Hydron 5-6. And this was after I said that Lijiang Tower, there was 65 elims between Hydron and Checkmate. An absolute deadlift was happening from Florida. But now Florida, I think the nerves are gone. You go to a map you're comfortable on, one that you've had success in. They are undefeated on this map, and Vancouver is showing why. A 2-minute capture on this map is incredible.
Yeah, I think that we need to look at the style of these teams as well. Here's a quick replay of Aspire, who's exactly what I talk about. And in particular, oh, the hip fires are nasty, dude. You don't get a double headshot there. You are disgusting.
And the Bob just uppercuts someone in the face.
We've got to talk about Aspire versus Hydron here and how the Ashe versus Sojourn works. So I think that Florida Mayhem are getting aggressive enough to be using this Sojourn ideally because they're fighting way more pitched battles. And these pitched battles are where the Ashe can continuously put out that damage on demand and really bring these players low to be finished off by King later on. Whereas I think that Florida Mayhem, they'd be able to achieve a lot more if they got much more aggressive with this Sojourn, which is ideally how they would have managed their attack.
That was a slightly scary Widow shot because King was the one who got hit by a body shot. Imagine if that was a headshot. King would have been down, and that would have been pretty much the point cap for Florida if they played their cards right. But enough with what ifs. Florida start moving across the bridge. Hydron actually jumps on the high ground to drop a disruptor shot, but he doesn't really want to meet face to face with a Junker Queen. Florida, instead of going to the point, they're actually rotate to the high ground. And that's where all of that distraction allows Hydron to get a connection onto King. Checkmate dashes in the back, finishes off Aspire, and without DPS and a tank, this is toast for Vancouver.
This is the kind of forward momentum and aggression that I wanted from a Sojourn showing team of Florida Mayhem. And we had Checkmate as well, playing on an off angle on the opposite high ground to try and just harass people into Hydron's zone of influence so that those rail shots could be delivered on people who were fleeing Checkmate and the right clicks. Vancouver Titans, they're going to have to cede away this point, and we're going to move on to point B. Now, Vancouver Titans, the question is, how are they going to set up on these high grounds to try and give a good amount of breathing room over to Aspire to work his magic on the Ashe? You can see how far back Aspire is at the moment. Florida Mayhem, they need to try and break the blockade of Vancouver Titans and path themselves onto Aspire to dislodge him from this position.
Yeah, Vancouver are more focusing down someone. Someone has double the deaths of Mirror at the current moment, but Aspire and King have more deaths than Hydron and Checkmate. So we will see how this one goes. Florida advancing through, taking control of the high ground and doing some scouting around, and that's where the long distance poke between Aspire and Hydron can make a difference before a fight even breaks down. Checkmate, if he climbs through this window, he will have access to someone like Aztec, maybe even Aspire, depending on where he is. So really getting Mirror out of this position would be great. Someone from Vancouver just dropped, and that's actually King, but he has so much mobility that I don't think that's a duel Checkmate wants to take yet. Yeah,
King at this point is essentially playing the cart troll. However, now with Mirror moving down, we're going to see a lot more freedom of movement from King. Oh my goodness, we're on top of Aspire. Checkmate's made the dive. This is the aggression they needed.
Just Ashe doesn't have as much mobility, and Aspire is paying the price. It's 2 kills for Florida already. But the rally, I mean, you're kind of destined to win the fight when you have the extra resources and you pull the trigger first. But with the kind of the free card push that Florida had, and at this section of the map, they can stop Vancouver from even recontesting. Vancouver, I don't think even can with Mirror dead.
This is such a fast point B. Vancouver Titans on their map pick. It may have been a fast attack, but ooh, Lemon, they're in trouble. 5 minutes and 15 for point C. And now the question is, the Vancouver Titans, how do they stop Checkmate from finding these openings to get on top of Aspire? It's continuously Checkmate finding these off angles, and the dash angles in particular, where Aspire's disengages don't buy him enough space. What a pull.
Oh, Aspire uses the coach gun to get back. Important call there. King is on the left side, just getting some poke to get close to his blade. Florida, mainly Checkmate, has his first. Looking for any connection between Aspire and Hydron. Remember, Aspire can kind of derail a push, just throwing the Bob down, as he's really forcing rotations out of Florida. He drops the Bob, Aspire drops the Bob behind them, forces Florida to actually go back towards their own spawn, as Florida depend on Hydron's overclock to get a pick. King's playing a little far forward, looking for a blade opportunity, and Hydron could have picked him off and started to fight off well for Florida. But for now, no one has died. But let's see if that still is the case with Checkmate's blade. It's barrier v barrier, and rally now for Vancouver. A little extra resources, but a respawn advantage for Florida. And the poke that Hydron is delivering is paying off.
Now Mira in with the Rampage ready to go, if Florida Mayhem all dare to present themselves as they move through as a unit. That's a huge Rampage.
That's a 4-man Rampage from Mira, and no support ultimates. Vancouver drew out every resource from Florida, but where's the follow-up? Vancouver did so much initial damage, got Florida to half health, but Vancouver didn't want to extend past the door because that's Florida's territory with the spawn around the corner. Checkmate hunts down King, and Florida surge forward. No ults, but a big dream, and Aspire is accessible. I don't think he has the coach gun, but Masa had some critical boops to dissuade Checkmate from going any further.
Well, there wasn't much follow-up on the Rampage there from Mira because they were just using it to buy time for King to get back, but the second King moved back in, he went into an overexposed position with no clean disengagement route and no clean line of sight to Aztec either. King can't afford to be the first picked, and neither can Aspire. Hydron with a perfectly placed rail shot here. Florida Mayhem mean business at the end of Barizu.
This could be a big fight for Florida to get the bigger time bank and decide who fights first next. RuPaul has the rally. Florida start off the fight on their terms, taking down from front to back. Vancouver fall like flies, and Florida are going to make sure that they can't even touch the cart, but Vancouver need to go, and Masa's just getting tossed around. Hydron almost pushes it in until Masa gets cut down. Mira can't touch in time. That's a 3-minute time bank, a 1-minute difference between Vancouver.
Florida may have made the decision. Disregard Mira. Acquire damage frags. It's continuously King and Aspire who are under the pressure, who were feeling the wrath. We saw just how much King was under pressure. RuPaul was running at him. The Brigitte, who usually has to play the kiting healer just to try and survive, cling on to this mortal coil, was throwing themselves into the fires of Mordor in order to take out that Genji and remove the teeth from Vancouver Titans and Lemon. This is an adjustment that is a reaction to the stats you pointed out at the end of Lijiang Tower. We're seeing a hyper carry from Aspire, or rather from Hydron and Checkmate. They want to make sure that Vancouver Titans can't match that kind of performance.
I love the way that they're just, both teams are kind of trading ult, and they're taking space and then giving it right back. It's really just a dance between these two teams, and why I think the time banks are so close. I mean, Florida just did an incredible job on the point A and point B attack. They had 5.5 minutes for C. So you have several cycles of ultimates to really get yourself to this point. So Florida did an S+ job through 75% of the map to go to an A+ job on point C. So we'll see if the 1 minute truly is a difference, because that's just one fight.
That one fight can mean everything here on point A of Barizu. However, both of our teams have seemed adept in this first point attack, or maybe less so on the defense, who knows. Remember that this first fight during Vancouver's attack, it was a little bit messy. We did see a lack of target focus from both of these teams, and that might need to be amended to give one team a larger advantage.
Vancouver on the attack, looking for poke, and someone tried to approach Aspire, but Hydron hits the shot at range. Vancouver really got to protect Aspire a lot more with the limited mobility that he has. Although he is out damaging Hydron by at least 2 or 3K, it's not enough for a Vancouver Titans fight win yet.
This reminds me of a previous match we saw with the San Francisco Shock, where they actually, I believe, got farmed by Dallas Fuel because they had Kilo continuously left behind on the Ashe, and Dallas Fuel would just allow them in, catch Kilo when he was on his own on the Ashe, and then take a 4 versus 5 afterwards. Vancouver Titans are going to need to move more as a unit, and that's why they have Aspire swap over onto the Sojourn, so there's great some ability to join these pushes.
See King showing himself on the right side, receives the shout because he dropped down to half health. Now Vancouver Titans don't have the speed. Florida used their shout second, but they don't really initiate as Aspire jumps into the lap of someone, hits him with the headshot. And now Vancouver can go for more. Aspire with 2. Disruptor shot to set up King for success. But really, what is the successful story here? It's Vancouver taking the point.
My favorite part of a Vancouver Titans match is when Aspire says it's Aspiring time, and Aspire's all over them. And that's indeed what just happened. Just rail shot after rail shot. And we saw the aggression of Aspire as well. The calls from Vancouver Titans are clean enough. Aspire is willing to take the risk to slide into a Junker Queen who at close range is incredibly dangerous, and think, you know what, I'm going to hit this headshot. I have the confidence in myself, and if I don't, we still have King here as well to guarantee the frag onto someone.
Everyone from Vancouver staying real grouped up. You got to do a lot of scouting when you round corners like this. You never know where a Genji is setting up. Checkmate staying hidden, and he really wants to access someone like Masa or Aztec. Can you take one of those ultimates out of the picture? Mainly Masa to enable Checkmate's blade coming up. King goes after supports, gets someone low enough, hoping to get the reset. He has to use the deflect as a barrier, I think, drop from Majed to stop the King blade. And Hydron at a distance gets 3, looks for more, and that's all she wrote for the Florida Mayhem.
Not much time here to touch the cart. A courtesy overtime is given over to the Vancouver Titans, but the cart sits alone. And Vancouver Titans there, they entered that fight with the distinct idea of fragging Sir Marged before or during his usage of the sound barrier. And I think the Vancouver Titans kind of gave up on that strategy. As King pulled out the blade, I think they needed to be a lot more brazen. King pulled out the blade, it was countered by the sound barrier, and King said, okay, that's my job done. I've baited the sound barrier. But in this moment, in overtime, the context is different. You can't play this long game of trading the ult for the ult. You still need to try and grab the value out of that Dragon Blade. And all it did was allow Florida Mayhem to run forward and overwhelm the Vancouver Titans on the cart in that close range battle that mattered the most.
There's a big difference of Genji styles between Checkmate and King. Maybe a difference of experience levels as well, or maybe nerves on the stage. I'm seeing Checkmate take a lot more creative rotations, really go further away from his team to look for more opportunities, and he actually has less deaths than King, only by 3. While as King, he sticks really close to his team when it comes to blades, because he wants to be in range of the shout or in pack range. And here's a replay of Hydron. When you give him space, Hydron delivers. And the way that Checkmate and Hydron work in tandem, whether you're looking at Checkmate and how he's rotating, then you're not looking at Hydron and how he's shooting you in the face.
Another death during a sound barrier there for Masa. It's not been a great sound barrier collection in this particular series between both of our Lucios, I do believe, but it seems like Sir Marged on land is definitely feeling that lack of ping. And look at how he's actually playing up higher here. We actually have both of our Lucios playing on these elevated positions to try and get that boot. Mirror's now down on the ground. And while he is, it takes a little morsel. He's not what Florida Mayhem wants, so they don't speed onto him just yet. They're going to wait for the shout to be used, and then they'll probably make the move afterwards.
I think Vancouver just used the shout there, so Florida are going to use their second. Let's see if it's an advantage. Someone gets pulled in the line of fire. He drops from the stairs right by his side as RuPaul, but Checkmate didn't get any TLC. And Vancouver, though, still fall. And how does this happen? Aspire really couldn't get the trades while he was having all the freedom to sit back and shoot. So Florida getting the cap here is quite dangerous because the box of victory's around the corner.
Oh yeah, it's not very far at all. 62 meters that need to be moved, but that's nothing here on Balizu. And that all came back to Masa, or rather Sir Marged getting that opening boop onto Mirror, making sure that it was playing on the low ground, had to play some dangerous physical cover that was so close. Now Mirror once again catching some poke early. Hydron has a fully charged rail, so everyone best cower. Luckily it's a miss, so Vancouver Titans will remain fully manned, fully personneled and ready for one more battle with 2 minutes left on the clock for Florida Mayhem.
Vancouver have to win multiple fights to get the series equalized. Here's Checkmate on the left. Masa goes to boop him away. Sir Marged escorting Checkmate around. Hydron is low. King can't find that opportunity. Vancouver have already used shout, but haven't really initiated the fight as Hydron looks to support someone from the front, but there's too much damage from Vancouver playing from front to back, so they pushed away someone. You don't have the shout, but you still have RuPaul, but he doesn't want to go for the rally as Vancouver hold Florida for now, and King can access everyone in time.
And the question is, how aggressive do Vancouver want to go here? Do they want to have a look at that spawn with Aztec so far away? It does not seem likely, but Vancouver Titans are coming up on so many ultimates here. RuPaul, if he identifies that Aztec's going to be missing, can bully on forward with a rally.
The rally fight for Florida. How do Vancouver survive this? Aztec is being patient with his. Activates his second. A few seconds too late, though, because King needed that healing. It's 1 meter away. Florida so close to a barrier. Hydron looking for picks. Can't connect with Aspire, but has to go after King. But it's actually Checkmate's blade that's happening. It gets countered by the Masa sound barrier. No one has really died. It's about Florida zoning Vancouver away enough to go to the box of victory. And they have done it. Florida are on match point.
RuPaul's got the Megamind, knows that Aztec's still walking back, so I'm going to pop the tempo rally, baby, and they just run on top of King, get rid of the potential for that Dragon Blade to come on out, and then they can use a luxury sound barrier after Masa has to use his simply to sustain Vancouver Titans on the cart, knowing that they won't have to use so much as barrier to deal with a King Blade. An absolutely amazing macro understanding from Florida Mayhem of all of the potential threats that are arrayed against them and how to use tempo to their advantage.
Remember when almost the entirety of the desk predicted Vancouver Titans to take this series, except Zoe. She do be studying a lot at home. She'd be watching. She knew something no one else did.
What's Elodie telling her? What does the baby know?
What does the baby know? So, I mean, Florida go from an 0-3 start to this tournament to maybe flipping that completely on its head. But we have maybe one more map to go, and we'll see you on the other side.
the tip of the spear, and the follow-up is there.
Rotation deployment to WGS Phoenix winning the fight. Saved by Aztec. Oh, EMP, but Scale instantly deleted.
Oh my goodness. You'll play it switch up.
We're more than halfway through the season, so it's time to keep collecting those OWL tokens for the upcoming Team Mix Legendary skins. And if you sign up for the Overwatch League newsletter, you know, you might as well stay up to date. You can earn a bonus 5 OWL tokens, so be sure to get that done before it expires.
Hey, those of you here in the venue with us as well, make sure you pick up your Overwatch League app. If you show that you're here, in Toronto, Canada, you can get 100 tokens. I think something for Lucio and a bunch of the team mascot sprays as well. I love the Soul and the Gladiators ones. They're so cute, Lemon. But you know what's not cute right now? Vancouver Titans being 2-0 down. DPay, the God Emperor, who has turned this team from winless to winners, needs to have had himself a good half-time to really make sure that everyone's on the same page with what they're going to be doing. Because honestly, Ambalizu, we saw King getting caught out a lot. He needs to be playing either closer to the team, or the team needs to be ready to move with his aggression to really facilitate the angles that he wants to take.
I mean, even with all the AoE heals that you have with this meta, I feel like all the attention is to keep Mirror alive, because once that tank falls, the fight is done. The Junker Queen provides so many different resources of healing, speed, and really just a frontline. So I think Aztec is focusing more on Mirror than King, and King his style this series has been to play defensively and almost reactively, while Checkmate is finding more opportunities, and although that's maybe more risk-taking, it's paying off more than it's hurting the Florida Mayhem. And I mean, look, we're on match point for Florida, their first 2 map wins of the entire tournament. And this is Vancouver, who I thought put a really good dent into Shock. All of the devs predicted Vancouver after their performance against the Shock, but not really turning up on day 2.
Next up, Circuit Royale. And Lemon, at the top of this series, we talked about what few words DPay had for Florida Mayhem. It was only 2. Bye-bye. However, there are 4 words that Florida Mayhem have to say in response, with Sir Majed finally entering the land, and those are go crazy, go stupid. Florida Mayhem, they love to just run on forward with that W and just smack you in the face. And honestly, Vancouver Titans have been stunned. They've been reeling from the constant aggression of Florida Mayhem. And I kind of wonder what the rationale is behind the pick of Circuit.
This against Paris, which is usually free, so Vancouver feeling obviously very strong, although it's Hydron that continues to get these first bloods for Florida. Vancouver, why take this fight? You might as well go back to Spawn, but you also don't want to deal with having to go through that, I guess, choke of your own shelter, as Vancouver not really sure whether to escape. They think this is winnable. They managed to pick up 2 kills, starting to turn the fight in their favor. It's 3 versus 3. Vancouver have closer respawns, but Florida still hold on.
Someone's dead, so Florida Mayhem were playing on borrowed time, but they did the right move there and got super aggressive after having lost someone. It meant that they could pick up these additional frags onto Vancouver Titans, turn them into ult charge, and now they can go a rendezvous with someone at a more defensible location while still having trained a good amount of the Vancouver Titans time bank, because Spy's been able to do a good amount of damage, so he's drawing even with Hydron when it comes to the charge towards this overclock. Florida Mayhem have a right angle to play around. The only real advantage that Vancouver Titans have is that they can use the bridge to get themselves easy sight lines for things like armor packs.
This is about who's going to be the better Sojourn player in these poke matches like this. And we haven't even seen Florida play the double flex before, which I really thought would come out on a map like this with the amount of distance between both teams. Hydron getting charged up. Here's Aztec kind of approaching, and King gets disrupted quite literally. That's another first blood from Florida. But Vancouver haven't really given up these 4v5 fights. They kind of hang around and see if they can get a trading blow, but not this time.
And now there's actually a hostage situation. 3 players stuck inside there. A spy is down. Mirror's gone too, Lemon.
Commitment of the RuPaul rally when I felt like Vancouver were trapped. So it's a Florida Mayhem fight win, but I think Vancouver are happy with that.
Oh, but Florida Mayhem now, they're going to re-establish the spawn, hold and try and drain. Even if they can get Aztec to use the rally here to break out of spawn, that would be a huge win for Florida Mayhem. The question is, do they actually want to use anything to counter this?
The rally just to leave spawn, and Florida are not even disengaging. I mean, Hydron's in the middle of the fire with an overclock, and he's not going to get a finishing blow on Namira, who's looking to ask him a question. And Florida looks like they'll have to back away. It's 3 versus 3, but Vancouver have respawn advantage, and he saw that Vancouver racing towards them, but Florida are too quick.
Trading 1 for 1 on the ults here, that's just fine for Vancouver Titans. Yes, they have to use the rally, but they still have a Soundware in reserve to try and deal with Checkmate and someone. The question is here, will someone use an earlier Rampage to try and lay the groundwork for Checkmate to have an uninterrupted Blade later on, or will Checkmate go first so that someone can clean up afterwards?
It's a big ult fight. Point A cap on the line, 3 meters away. It starts with the over full DPS ult for Vancouver. The sound barrier on top. Florida trying to trade blow for blow as we're left with a 4 versus 4. Checkmate's Blade and King's Blade are now gone, as all Vancouver have to do is zone off the card for 3 meters. And Aztec is still alive. Mira activates the shout just to help Titans get back to spawn and not get staggered anymore, because there's only 47 seconds left.
Master sound barrier. Unable to save the Vancouver Titans from the aggressions of a Florida Mayhem. The target focus looking super good. Samajed is actually getting a bunch of those killing blows as well, Lemon, which is super important. I'm just checking on our stats page here to make sure that we did actually get some sound barriers applied. Mira hits early. That's a pair of rampages.
Your break dying first is just so horrible. This is just a dead fight before it even started. Florida have brought this down to 17 seconds. Vancouver can't get held like this. They're down on match point.
This is a heartbreaker for Vancouver Titans. They need to rally and they need to do it now. Mira has to swap over to a Doomfist, the signature hero when he was DPS. 5 seconds remain, Lemon, and RuPaul's in the way with a rally.
Is Massa getting even the touch? Is he even there?
No!
He's not! Vancouver held at A! Florida with the box of victory in sight could go up 3-0.
A team that yesterday barely installed Overwatch against the Houston Outlaws, up against the resident home Canadians. They are here to slay, and they don't care how many members of the crowd will give them death looks for doing so. 2-0, Florida Mayhem. Was Samajed the missing ingredient playing from home yesterday?
Oh, that's true.
I mean, Samajed, you got to admit as well, let's talk about the minutia here. He's been up for ages, mate. I think he got up at like 6 a.m. this morning. 5 a.m. having to go to the airport, get a flight over here, put his peripherals in, get sorted out on LAN. It's been a rough day for Samajed, but it's been a beautiful day in the lobby. It's been a rough day for Vancouver Titans when it comes to the actual gameplay, Lemon. And now, in order to stay alive in the tournament, in their home nation, they must hold this cart before 93 meters.
So someone was to try to stop, someone as in somebody tried to stop Massa from the touch. Just quite literally a body block, everyone falling back. I know, I guess it was Mira stop too, whether RuPaul, Hydron, and the boops from everyone.
Yeah, RuPaul doing a good job there of making sure not to boop Mira towards the cart, and instead being very judicious with the usage of a whip shot. And I think that we might have saw Hydron body blocking Massa as well. Here we have Vancouver Titans with a slightly wider spread. Oh, hello. Checkmate with the Symmetra. Where do you want to go? Oh, okay, on top of a traffic barrier. Not ideal. That's right in front of Mira.
Somewhere safe is all they want to be. This is, while this fight breaks down, 4 versus 4. Florida on the attack managed to TP to the left side room, but now cut off from reinforcements as someone hopes to shut the door, but Vancouver have made their way in, but I don't think that's the smoke that they ordered, so Florida will move forward.
So many young players here between these teams, Lemon. The pressure of playoffs can be so much. And remember, Vancouver Titans hadn't even experienced a win until August 14th. I don't know what months are. Now Vancouver Titans have to move on back. Florida Mayhem. Will they make any early engagements here to try and force Vancouver Titans into a chase that might leave someone exposed?
Another DPS gap. Hydron is 18-2. Checkmate 17 and 0 deaths. That's incredible. 3 minutes away. Florida 1 fight away from sending Vancouver out of the tournament and keeping them at home, I guess. but no ults yet. It's all about the picks. King can't go forward. Checkmate keeps him in check, and King managed to get the mini pack while he was at critical health. That was a scary decision. He gets booped, but he can climb. King is fine, but he has to look for opportunities. He's dueling against Checkmate. The shout burst from Florida. Mirror overwhelmed, and you need him desperately because Florida's starting to push this cart, and Aspire has to kill everyone to keep this alive for Vancouver.
Oh, Canada, it's not looking good. Master remains alive. The Finnish Fury, I'm afraid, is about to be taken out.
Florida still have 2 support ultimates, and Vancouver have to go touch soon, but there's no one there! Vancouver, the first Canadian team to fall, as Florida take the series 3-0.
One of our only teams not to pick up a map yesterday, embarrassed by the Houston Outlaws, but pride has been reclaimed. They exclaim to King, oh, hand that over, mate, and bend the knee, because there's a new lord in town, and he's from the Florida Keys, baby.
Oh, what a series, what a turnaround from 0-3 to 3-0. The nerves, I heard McGravy telling me, a lot of these players actually haven't been on a stage like this, but Florida really felt it in map 1. And to them, it was always losing to themselves, but turning it around, regaining that confidence, and proving everyone wrong. Because most of the desk, even myself, Vancouver, looked tremendously good, especially against the Shock. Putting up a fight against the #1 team in the league was amazing to see from Vancouver. And for Florida to struggle that much against Houston, we didn't really have high hopes. But it's about how quick you can adapt in a tournament like this with so little time is what mattered.
Yeah, we've got to talk to someone as well. Always getting the second shot. It felt like Mirror was in these positions where he saw the openings or had to peel for someone using the commanding shout, and then it was someone who was identifying those openings. And we know how someone who likes to yap. All the information pouring out, everyone moved in behind the leader, and someone's really leaning into that role and engaging with the team as the person who's going to call that play, uses the shout to drag everyone forward, that speed boost, the additional health, and create some brazen positions that continuously roll into rewards.
Well, on the stage, we're going to hear from Florida Mayhem and how they turned this all around. So let's say hello to Danny and his special guest.
Thank you guys very much. What is up, everybody? I'm here joined now by someone from Florida Mayhem. Congratulations on the win. I mean, it was a great series. I do have to ask because, I mean, this was an important match for the Florida Mayhem because if you guys lose, then you guys are out. So what was Florida Mayhem's mentality coming into today's match?
자, 오늘 경기가 아무래도 훨씬 더 중요한 경기였다고 저는 봐요. 플로리다 메이엄한테. 왜냐면 오늘 패배를 하게 되면은 이제 토너먼트에서 나가게 되기 때문에 중요하다고 생각을 했는데요. 오늘 경기에 들어오면서 좀 어떤 생각으로 경기에 임하셨나요?
여기서 지면은 이제 저희는 끝이잖아요. 이번 토너먼트는 이제 그러기 때문에 이제 후회하지 않는다는 마음으로 그냥 진짜 절대 안 진다는 마인드로 게임에 임하고, 그리고 상대팀한테 절대 기회를 주지 않겠다고 생각했던 것 같습니다.
Right, so I did know that if we lose, then we are out. So at first we really didn't want to have any regrets. So we wanted to definitely win, and I think our strategy for this matchup was to not give them any chance of winning. I think that was our focal point for this matchup. Now, of course, yesterday. Florida Mayhem's one of their team members, Sir Majed, wasn't here on stage with you guys, but today he joined. Do you think that having your whole team on stage, did that help you get the win today? 이제 어제와 다르게 썰매제드 선수가 오늘 비행기를 타고 여기까지 오시게 되셨는데요. 그게 좀 이제 한 팀이 한 공간에서 경기를 하는 게 오늘 승리에 또 좀 이렇게 결정적인 이유라고 좀 생각을 하시나요?
네, 저는 저희가 이제 오늘 5명이 모였잖아요. 저희가 5명이 모여서 저는 이제 다 같이 하는데 밸류가 크다고 생각하고, 솔직히 말해서 어제 휴스턴은 좀 운이 좋았던 것 같아요.
I definitely do believe that having all of your teammates in the same spot playing the game is definitely important, and I do want to say that Houston yesterday got really lucky by beating us. Why do you say that? 방금 휴스턴이 좀 이렇게 이제 운이 좋았다고 말씀하셨는데 그거에 대한 좀 이유가 있나요?
저희가 이제 4명이서 할 때랑 다 같이 이제 얘기를 하고 이제 에너지를 같이 뿜어 나오면서 이제 그 합이라는 게 있는데 이제 그게 어제는 좀 부족했던 것 같고, 근데 오늘 한 대로 했으면 이제 저희는 앞으로도 계속 이길 것 같습니다.
All right. Definitely because yesterday we didn't have Surma Jet, so it was just 4 of us, and one of our members was in Florida, so we didn't have that synergy, we didn't have that cohesion or that energy. So that's why I think Houston Outlaws were lucky, and I definitely believe if we just play like this, if we play how we played today, then I'm 100% sure that we could keep winning in the tournament. All right. Last but not least, my final question for you, someone is. Do you have, of course, as a team, I think Florida Mayhem, you guys are shooting to win it all for the tournament, but do you have a personal goal for this tournament? 자, 이제 당연히 플로리다 메이햄 팀적으로는 우승이 목표겠지만은 썸먼 선수는 좀 개인적인 목표가 있다면 이번 토너먼트에서 뭐가 있을까요?
이번에 이제 제가 원숭이 메타 할 때는 이름이 좀 많이 거듭되고 잘한다는 소리 많이 들었는데 이번 정커키 메타에서는 그런 소리 많이 못 들어가지고 이제 다른 사람들이나 이제 프로들한테 이제 인정받을 수 있는 정커키니으로 이제 기억이 됐으면 좋겠습니다.
When it was the Monkey or Winston meta, a lot of people, not only people but pro players alike, told me that I was a great player. But when we moved on to the Jungle Queen meta, I haven't gotten that from any of my peers or pro players. So that is my personal goal. I want to get validation from pro players and my friends alike that I am a good Jungle Queen player. All right, someone, that is it for the interview. Thank you guys. Give it up for someone one more time. Round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, casters, back to you.
What about caster validation?
I mean, I'm willing to give it.
Get thumbs up to someone and in honor of someone. We got to do the someone handshake that he did on stage.
Oh, what's that?
I didn't tell you. I didn't prepare you for this. Like this. Like this. He did this.
Okay.
Yeah, so now I'm good at Overwatch now, I think.
I need some hand sanitizer.
That's so rude. So, final thoughts about the match leg day. Toronto, do they make it further than Vancouver? Because we have 2 Canadian teams here.
They can't do worse.
Yeah, I don't like that energy. This is a glass half full situation.
I mean, going out 3-0 against the Florida Mayhem, it was not amazing for Vancouver Titans, but I'm willing to give that validation over to someone. He was very good today when it came to getting the second shout, and that can often be the linchpin of a victory in this meta, Lemon.
Turns out if your 5th member shows up to the event, you start winning, hey. But there was one person who I think played 3D chess, mental chess, physical chess, and your player of the match is Checkmate. Give it up. He put an absolute deadlift on Lijiang Tower. It was like 30 eliminations, multi-kills on the Dragon Blades that he did, finding opportunities and converting fight wins for Florida. He did incredible today.
Checkmate's a chess term, and I'll give you another one. Zugzwang. To make a move against him is to be at a disadvantage. Checkmate popped off today, always finding the incisions and also making sure there was always enough pressure to force out Mirror Shout first, which gave someone those openings to be the better Junker Queen today, Lemon. And honestly, it has been such a...
Yay!
what a... Hooray! We won! And Checkmate today, it's been a pop-off moment. We got ourselves some lovely stats here. Final blows per 10. That's freaky, man.
Wow, that's so much. And he's a solo killer. And for the amount of times he went on flanks completely by himself, for him to have only 3 deaths per 10 minutes, he wasn't getting punished at all. And for King to play as defensively as he did, he had the same amount of deaths per 10. Checkmate did amazing today. Really turned it around. I mean, all of Florida turned it around today. And it's almost having that 5th member and just having everyone comfortable and getting over the speed bumps. I think Florida are feeling really good, and they have to go up against London Spitfire.
I mean, it's going to be a fast team against a fast team. That is going to be a nightmare to cast. Whoever gets to do that is just going to be clashing together consistently. We're going to be like Newton's Cradle of Jungle Queens, just smacking and smacking and smacking, Lemon. That is going to be an absolute banger.
I hate that I just did that motion, but anyway, I'm going to throw it away as fast as I can to hear from Watchpoint in the next set of casters. More Overwatch around the corner.
I'm around. Break. Nice, guys. No need to scream, just chill. No need.
Just
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
The sun is setting on day 2 of the Summer Showdown, but we still have one more match to go tonight. Before we jump into the Toronto discussion, we gotta tackle what we just seen here. It's Bucket alongside Custa. We got Reinforced. And Johnny, can I just ask, is this comfortable sitting like this during like that whole third game? You had your legs tightly crossed. Was it nerves for Florida?
It was very tense. It was nerve-wracking. It was scary, quite honestly. You know, the Canadian team that didn't put them through. You know, it was very emotional.
Yeah, Vancouver couldn't get the job done, but Florida Mayhem are moving on once they get all 5 players to stage. Was it getting that second support onto the stage, or was it giving them the right character that gave them the dub tonight, Custa?
A little bit of a motivational boost, having everyone there, morale, but I think just their experience on stage. You know, someone just hit on it. You know, they've been there before. They know that if they lose this match, they're going home. So they stuck to it. And also, interestingly, they didn't play any of the double flex support. Comfortable in the mirror matchup. We've been hyping that up this whole playoffs, but so far they have played very little of it.
So, Johnny, talk to me about this first game of Control, because I was expecting an Ana. We did not see that from the Mayhem, and they really just stayed on the Lucio Brigitte, but we watched a lot of ninjas in this matchup.
We watched a lot of ninjas. I told you, Pucky, they come out with the Lucio and the Brig here on Lijiang to kick things off. It's hard to get that distance separation, so it's easier for the enemy team to dive onto your Zenyatta and your Ana composition. So maybe not the map you want to bring it out necessarily. But after Lijiang Tower, of course, we move over to Paraíso. And this is also another map where, you know, where's the room? Where are you supposed to bring out the Ana? Where's you supposed to bring out the set? You can't really. It's all closed corridors, so you prefer the Brawl with the Rally, the Inspire Healing, and the Lucio Aura instead. But for a Mayhem, despite all of that, they look like the more comfortable team playing this double main support composition. I think, honestly, like Custa said, a lot of credit to the Florida Mayhem for playing composed with experience. Vancouver Titans, they were a bit all over the place. King dashing away from his team, disengaging when the rest of his team was engaging. They looked a bit discombobulated, the Vancouver Titans, and maybe, you know, with some more reps onto the stage, they can come back another time to give it a good old go in the state field.
Well, you guys hyped me up on Vancouver coming into the weekend. They're now the first team eliminated from the bracket, so thanks for wasting my time. But let's talk about Vancouver, because this is a team that took a map off of the Shock yesterday, and the Shock are looking so strong in this event. How did they fold to Florida? Was it something different in their game, or is it Florida coming to life today?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the Vancouver Titans, maybe not that experienced on stage. They said this is a first for them. This is the first stage that they actually got wins. So as much as this is a disappointing loss, they are the first team out. I think you got to take steps, right? Obviously, they won their 3 matches. They actually made it here. So now you build from that. You learn from that experience. You come back. Maybe they can start making that run for the play-ins like we've already talked about so far. And, you know, maybe Coach Deepe can lead this team to the promised land.
All right, we'll see if they can get it done. But we got to talk about Florida's hero of the day. He was wearing pink, and he looked good doing it. Checkmate is going to be our player of this match, decided by Johnny here on the Watchpoint team. Johnny, why was it the Genji that deserves the love for Florida? Why not your main tank?
Look, the casters picked Checkmate for player of the match, and I completely agree. The way he holds the line for his team, it's sensational. Whether it's diving in, going aggressive with the Dragon Blades, finding picks of low health, or in this case, the Vancouver Titans, when they were engaging, when King was dashing under the Genji, it was Checkmate to clean things up and counter that positioning. The Genji very much holds the line for these teams, whether it's diving aggressively or falling back. So Checkmate, I think he did a fantastic team. I think that's the janitor for his team, cleaning up the frags where it had to be done.
Definitely the strongest player pose as well. And we're just going to hold this until the next segment, which is right now, guys. We got to preview the next match coming up as Florida is moving on in your bracket. We got to show you the last battle to go. It's here in the losers bracket, and we know that the hometown heroes aren't out of this yet. So, Custa, get me hyped up. Washington, Toronto, match number 4 here on day number 2.
We can't have both Canadian teams go home, the first 2 teams. It cannot happen, Toronto. I know I predicted for the Washington Justice, but I believe in you guys. Me too.
Me too. I bet it's same.
We can't have this happen. And honestly, they looked very good earlier in the stage. They actually looked like they had a ton of coordination. Players were on their right heroes. It's just these last couple of weeks, the players that you need to step up, Hisu, although have not been able to get there. They're going up against Decay and Assassin, two great DPS players that have really brought this Washington Justice back from the brink. So they are the players that need to show up and come to play in this stage.
Who's more important to shut down, Decay or Assassin, after watching them take 2 maps off of the fuel to open up this tournament?
So in this case, if Toronto Defiant, if they once more commit to the Ashe composition, you gotta be scared of the dives coming in from the Washington Justice. And Assassin is very much going to lead the way. The Washington Justice, they'll be looking to not give Toronto Defiant any room, any time whatsoever to operate with Hisu on top of that Ashe. And well, if they diverge from this Ashe composition, it's all on Decay. Sojourn versus Sojourn, I want to see Decay pop up for the Washington Justice.
Well, I noticed earlier in the show, guys, on our pre-show, you both made a big mistake. You clearly don't know much about this Toronto team because you picked them to lose, right? Yeah. So I wanted to teach you a little bit about Toronto here in a little speed round of trivia. Are you guys ready?
I used to live in Toronto.
Did you?
Yeah.
This is great
Me
news.
too.
This is going great for me.
It's competition.
Yeah.
Well, Custa, everyone knows Toronto is now known as the Six. That, of course, thanks to Drake. But before that, what was Toronto's original nickname? Was it A, the Gem City, B, the Queen City, or C, the King City?
Well, okay, it's called New Queen Street, so I'm just going to take an educated guess. It's B, Queen.
1 point to Custo.
Yes!
Ding, 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 ding.
3 wins.
Johnny, are you prepared for your first trivia question, my friend?
I didn't live in Toronto. I've never been there.
Johnny, as our Swedish-American analyst, I expect you to get this right. What is Canada's national animal? Is it the moose, Canadian goose, beaver, or grizzly bear?
I should know this, I think. I'm gonna go.
Toronto Defiant, Johnny, you should know Canada's national animal.
I'm gonna go with no, grizzly bear is California, right? Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna go with the moose.
Go with the moose! Wrong, it was the beaver!
Oh, you
the beaver of shame!
Hey, moose is Sweden's national animal.
1
so
point to Custa, 0 to Johnny. Back to Custa for question number 2. Name Toronto's Canadian Football League team.
Canadian's Football League team?
Yep.
Like
the Toronto CFL team.
The Toronto...
Got half of it.
Raiders.
No, our complete goes
Close. It's the Argonauts. Bonus points, though. Do you know what an Argonaut is?
It is an astronaut that's an animal.
It's a small floating octopus or a Greek sailor from Argo. There you go. The more you know. Johnny, question number 2, chance to catch up here. It is 1-0 for Custom right now. You're a football guy, Johnny, so what's Toronto's baseball team's name?
Oh,
Blue Jays.
I know this one.
Toronto Blue Jays! Johnny's back in the game. All right, guys, we're running out of time, so let's speed this up. Scott, question number 3. Name the 5 teams Hoppa has played for.
Oh, okay. Philadelphia Fusion.
Check.
And then he went to the Guangzhou Charge.
Check.
And then he went back to the Philadelphia Fusion at some point. I'm skipping one.
Philly.
But yeah, and then we went to Toronto Defiant.
Yep.
And then he was also on New York Excelsior.
Yes! All right, that's 4 teams. LW Red was the contenders, but you nailed Philly twice. Well done, Johnny. Chance to tie this up. What is Custa's all-time win rate versus the Defiant? What percent?
This has
all-time
to be easy.
win rate for Custa versus the Toronto Defiant.
100%.
0%. Lost 2-1. Drew on Hollywood. That was stage 1, week 2 of 2019.
We lost to Toronto in 2019.
Toronto Defiant have beaten Custa, and they're going to beat these guys' predictions. Defiant versus Washington coming up when the Overwatch League returns.
At the dawn of the day, 2 pillars stood tall in the north, and now only one remains, and a particular